first guest for the night, Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya, who joins us on the broadcast. Good evening, and thank you for your time tonight on TV 47.
Good evening to you too.
All right. Last week on Monday, the government ordered a security operation targeting the larger Laikipia area, and specifically Olmoran as an operation area. Close to a week later, how is the situation now?
Thank you for that question. Compared to the situation on Monday, we've made tremendous progress because by the time the government was declaring that area a disturbed area, and therefore the commencement of the security operation, criminals were setting houses on fire. There were deaths that were being reported, injuries, displacement of persons, and generally the area was not very secure. Mm-hmm. Schools had also closed. But as we speak now, the deaths have stopped. No more people are being injured. There are no acts of arson in that place. And as of today morning, children began trooping back to school. We've basically fortified that area and deployed more security officers there.
You paint a picture of the change in the last 7 days, and we have our reporter there, and he equally paints a picture of such. So does this mean that the bandits have been defeated, or are they in hideouts waiting for the operation to cease so that they attack?
The initial plan was to restore normalcy the quickest way possible, and actually we were given just 7 days that expired today. But we know that the challenges of Olmoran and the larger Laikipia County are entrenched, and therefore they require time to be sorted out. We can't, for now, say that we've defeated the bandits. We are facing some operational challenges, especially in the Laikipia Nature Conservancy, which for a long time has provided a safe haven for criminals. So as we secure the populations in the settlements and ensure that learning resumes, we'll continue with our activities within the Laikipia Nature Conservancy and other ranges where we believe that criminals have continued to hide.
Well, these attacks are quite seasonal, and the regional commissioner, it's not the first time. You may argue it could be the last time, but history will prove us otherwise probably. But given that this is happening in a cycle that is quite predictable, quite 1 year or so ahead of a general election, why is it difficult, and I use that word, and you have a right to disagree with it, to restore peace in that region totally and for once?
I think in past instances, we've been what has happened is that we've underestimated the threat. Like what has happened now, if it was in the past, we'll have actually moved our officers out and declared that the area is quite safe. But we've learned from the past, and this time around we're going to be there for the long haul to ensure that we have the restoration of law and order, which is lacking in that place. People have been chased from their farms by gun-wielding bandits, and who have taken over their property for grazing. Mm-hmm. And so the culture of impunity has been growing over the years. We want to address that so that we restore respect for private property, and also restore the sanctity of human life, which has been lacking in that area.
You say we want to restore, which is quite futuristic and even probably an ongoing exercise. But those tasked with the security of that region, you included, should at least, isn't it, take some responsibility. For instance, when I was just looking at the numbers, there were initially 11 security personnel at Olmoran police station.
I began by admitting that we underestimated the challenge. Not me, but those who were there before me. That's why you can find a station with 11 officers in an area like that. police post with 3 police officers. So as government there, I think we did not match the threat with our deployment. That's what we're trying to address now, and we're going to address it fully. The officers who are involved in active operation will not leave that place until we are assured that normalcy has returned and that law and order will be the order of the day, not just some passing cloud.
And given that some of these issues that often are fueling this cycle of attacks are quite historic, such as the question of land, what more do you think needs to be done to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future?
The question of land is based on misinformation.
Is it?
And that's why sometimes you see us arresting political leaders. Because if you go telling people that a privately owned ranch historically belonged to your people and that you can go there and reclaim it using the power of the gun, then you're basically misleading your people. When land leases expired in that place from 2004, we began having problems because some people thought that automatically the ownership will move from the rangers to the local population. But that's not how the law operates. And these leaders understand it very well. But surprisingly, they've not been able to explain this to their people. They keep whipping up emotions. Of course, that has been the major problem when it comes to land, the problem of misinformation. But then again, we've got another group, especially from Chiati in Baringo, that are basically engaged in banditry, where you just go and steal animals, kill people, and then you find a hideout in the Laikipia Nature Conservancy. They've got no cause. There's just criminal activity. And those are the people that we're dealing with now, because when the minister gave that 7-day ultimatum, when he was there in Laikipia the first time, genuine herders actually moved out, and they've been having some kind of arrangement with the rangers so that they can be provided with pasture. But these criminals, they're herding animals that they stole, so they can't leave that place without exposing themselves, and that's why we're going to get them out by force.
George Natembeya, you say the question of land is a misinformed question. It's not, isn't it? It's you yourself who is on record saying, and I quote, there are some people who are obsessed with ranching and they are targeting Laikipia Nature Conservancy to displace the owners and take up the ranch.
That's a very correct statement. What I'm talking about is when you say that is your ancestral land. You know, you keep hearing about historical land injustices. This land belonged to our ancestors. Those statements are the ones that I used to fuel the small people there. But the big fish just want to use these emotions so that these small guys can go in there and cause mayhem in the hope that maybe the government can accede to their demands. And hopefully maybe once that one is done, then now these big men can come in and claim ownership of those ranches. So there's an element of, again, being used. You can be used, that you go fight, you're going to have a share in this particular place. But when now it comes time for sharing the spoils, you won't find yourself at the table. This is historical. People normally use others for their own benefit. The land question there is very complicated. The moment we tell young people that it was during this particular exit that we lost this, and therefore the redemption of our rights now lies with this particular exit. You are whipping up emotions, and you are giving them a motive to go in there and fight that with their deaths.
For a minute, let's put those who are riding on those emotions of the people aside. George Natembeya, just for historical facts, is it not the case that thousands of acres of land in terms and in forms of ranches belong to people whose ancestral presence there is questioned, hence ignite that feeling that this land belongs to the people who are fighting for it? If
you go historical, even Nairobi, the Maasai can come back and claim it. Are you saying that people build houses in Mutaige will hand them over to the Maasai because the ancestors passed there one day? The law is very clear. The Kenya did not go the Zimbabwe way. There's a way in which when the white men were living, there was a way in which there was some kind of land arrangement, land tenure system and land reforms, and how ownership would move from the white people to the Africans. And people keep saying that that only whites own ranches in Laikipia. That's not true. We also have our own black Africans. Kenyans have got big ranches in that place. Nobody talks about it.
All right, let's talk of the role of politicians in this wave of attacks. You say, and I quote, that the government knows the people behind this chaos, and the only challenge is there is no sufficient evidence. Do you mind explaining that, George Natembeya?
Yeah, the government operates on the basis of intelligence. It's like there's nothing you can do without the government knowing. So we have got sufficient intelligence on who the perpetrators are. But when you take somebody to court, you must have a certain level of evidence, to have an equitable case in court. And in most cases, people are not willing to come out and give evidence. They look at it as a community issue. Like if a member of parliament called people in a particular place at night and incited them to invade a private ranch, the government will know that you met in a particular place and these are the things that you said. But you require somebody who was there to come out and record a statement and say, indeed, we were there, and I can confirm that this guy said this and that and that. That's what's lacking. When the government goes and arrests senior members of society, including members of parliament, serving and former, it's not a light matter. It's a serious matter. And we are trying to express the fact that we have got an inkling on what has been happening.
But George Natembeya, just on the phraseology of the words I have quoted of you, how does the government know those who are planning, know those who are involved, and fail to obtain evidence to support the government's agenda? Acquisition
of evidence is a process, and it's basically voluntary. You can't go and tell somebody you're in that particular meeting, you must go and record a statement. You can't force people to record statements. And until people discover that being incited to commit acts of violence is a criminal offense, that it doesn't really serve you, then we still have these challenges because they come together like, they're speaking like a community, like it's a secret. Yeah, but somehow we get this information that these people met in a particular place, in a particular hotel. This is what was discussed. Even sometimes we have recordings, but some of these recordings are not accepted in court. You'll be told who took this recording, using what device. It becomes such a technical issue. Yeah, so these people are on our radar. You cannot continue committing crimes and expect the government not to do anything. Of course, when the legal system fails, there are other ways of dealing with this problem, including just naming and shaming or bringing in the National Cohesion and Integration Commission that have got powers even to try to push a case so that some of these leaders can be barred from participating in elective politics.
All right, and given that we have seen some leaders record statement over what happened the last 2 to 3 weeks, namely and among them Tiati lawmaker William Kamket, former Laikipia North MP, given then what you are saying that there is no evidence to support, it seems as though it is a case of recording a statement. What will be the outcome for anyone who may want some people, at least in some way or some form, to be held accountable for what has happened?
That's our wish also, but the law of evidence was made by the colonialists. It has never been revisited. We talk of a threshold, talk about beyond reasonable doubt. You can have doubt, but it has to be beyond reasonable doubt. So somebody has committed an offense, well, they have committed an offense. But how do we link them to the offense without having corroborative evidence? That's where the challenge is. But this challenge will have been surmounted if our judicial officers also lived within their population. They live in some kind of ivory tower. I know many of them don't even know what's going on in Laikipia because they don't watch news, they don't read newspapers, ostensibly because they want to be influenced as they do their job. And therefore they look at things from a very academic perspective. Because I know if the judiciary just bit, like you get somebody that were arrested, that taken to court, they go through the due process, and they're jailed like for 10 years. This thing will just stop. But even now, just having such a senior side spending a night in police cells is a nightmare. Yes, in police cells, a nightmare. You'll be told you're infringing on their rights. You're harassing them, and it's tricky.
All right, and because of the interest of time, probably one last question that is not related to the security situation. George Natembeya, word has it that you intend to seek the Trans Nzoia gubernatorial seat come 2022. Is that true?
I think it's within my right to seek for elective post if I wish to. I don't think there's any law that bars me from.
Given that it is your right, do you intend to be the governor of that county come 2022?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. George Natembeya is the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner. Thank you for your time once again here on TV 47.
Asante sana, nimeshukuru.
All right, we are making sense of the security situation. Remember, the government last Monday declared an operation in that area to flush out bandits. Musa Salah has been pitching camp there. Earlier on, he reported of change in the situation. Schools reopened earlier today after they were closed, but parents and students still, as Musa Salah reported, not convinced quite much of the security situation. But as assured by the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner, the situation, he says, will get better. Time for us to take a short break. Stay with us. We still have a lot lined up for you.